Alright, so we're starting our move bumper install and fabrication. This is a 2002 Ford Excursion. I put the Raptor style grille on it, and the chrome bumper just doesn't go with that. It needs more of a Raptor style bumper. So that's what we're going to do. Taking off the stock bumper is ridiculously easy. Need an 18mm socket there. I think it's a 14mm there on either side. 6 bolts hold the whole thing together. I'm going to have to do some wiring, cut some wiring to get rid of my light bar, but other than that, should be a piece of cake. Now, if you're like me and you're usually working alone, you can let the bumper just sit on the tow hooks as you disconnect the wiring for the factory fog lamps. Next comes off are those tow hooks. We're going to yank those off of there because we need those places for the mount. Alright, so we tacked up the brackets just quickly with the flux core. As you see, it looks nothing like the generic picture in the directions. I mean, nothing there is even close to what we've got here. So we're kind of winging it. This is the thicker style for the winch, the off-road option, I guess they call it. So I'm expecting to see more differences than what I've seen on most of the videos that are out there. Alright, so I got the main center section here just barely tacked in here. This thing is heavy. Took forever to find shims to get it just the right height. This is the place where you want to have 2 friends come and give you a hand holding that thing just ever so. It took a lot longer doing this by myself, having to go through back and forth and make sure it's right on each side, and it's so much more work. Draft a couple of buddies. Unfortunately, I'm doing this on a Monday. Everybody I know is working, so I'm on my own. Okay, once again, a couple of quick ugly tacks with the flux core. This is another part that really you need a hand doing. There's really almost no way to clamp this because of the angles and make it look right. You really just need somebody to hold it and get it close and get it tacked up. But again, things are starting to take shape here. Let's see how the other wing goes. Alright, so this is pretty much all tacked together right now. There are some places that ordinarily I would cut and finesse and make them pretty first, but I think what I decided to do, like in this area here where this kind of just overlaps, when I pull it back off the truck, I'm just gonna weld in from the back, and then I'm just gonna just dress it with the grinder real nice, because I want to kind of massage these corners anyway. I don't want them to seem like they're welded corners. I want them to look more like these rounded. So I'm going to dress those up. But overall, it looks pretty good. I haven't done anything about the winch mount yet because the winch isn't going to be here until, well, for another 3 days. So So we'll pull that off, get the winch situated where it wants to be. But as I said before, with this Raptor grill, we want to make this look more like a Raptor bumper. So this is kind of just the jumping off point. I know a lot of guys, almost every video I've seen, as a matter of fact, they build it exactly the way the way it comes, and that's that. We're going to be cutting this thing up now that it's tacked together. We're going to be cutting it up pretty significantly. The plan is for some windows here, like the stock Raptor has. They'll be set back a little bit. I want to try to put back the factory tow hooks. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that or not, but I think they're going to probably have to go. This is where that bracket is, so they're probably going to have to go right about here. Much to Move's disappointment, I think I may actually cut the logo out and weld that over. Again, just because there's going to be a winch in there, I'd like to try to protect it as much as possible. I may even close up these windows a little bit, depending on where I need to get to get access to the winch. But again, overall, I'm pretty happy. This was not a long process. I mean, this was the course of an afternoon here. And it probably would have gone a lot quicker if I would have been smart enough to get some friends to help. Oh, this is another thing. We're going to be doing something about this. Now, Excursions have that. I'm not sure if all F-250s do. That's the blocker bar. It's supposed to keep you from overriding when in a T-bone collision, so that it hits the door of the car and not go over top. I don't like the way that's sticking out there at all. We may lop some of that off. I was thinking about putting a little skid plate on the front. Maybe the skid plate mounts to that. I haven't really decided yet, but we are definitely not leaving these things sticking out on the side. I think that looks absolutely terrible. So again, this is not the end just because we're done with the basic fabrication. Alright, so we have a lot of the rough grinding done. We have a lot of the rough grinding done here. Don't underestimate how much time you need to take with this to make it look good. The idea that I kind of had was I wanted to make this almost look like it was stamped out of a single piece, like what the factory would do if they made a heavy-duty bumper option along those lines. So we still have quite a ways to go, but things are starting to take shape here. As we're planning on paying homage to the Raptor bumper, right now I'm laying out some potential ideas for some cutouts like they have in the plastic part of the Raptor bumper. I'm not sure if this one's going to make the cut or not, but so far this is one of the best ideas I've come up with. I think it's going to be, it's probably going to have some mesh or something behind it. It's going to kind of be set back on an angle. It depends. It's a ton of extra work, but it's kind of the look I was going for. And again, sorry guys for Move. I started filling in your logo. I will tell everybody where I got the bumper from, though, if anyone asks, but I just don't think we're going to stick with the logo. Sorry about that. Okay, so a little sneak peek at the cutouts. Still not sure what we're going to do to them yet. but so far they're actually just cut out. I'm not sure what we're going to do. I've been going round and round. I think I'm going to mock up some insert pieces and maybe I'll take some video of that. Alright, well, I just got my 12,000 pound winch in, and even though it's late at night now, I had to see how it just drops into this bumper, and I think I got an issue. This is roughly where it's going to sit, and the disengage lever hits the cutout. This cutout is actually too far out. Needs to actually be pushed in a little bit. So I don't know what I'm going to do, if I'm just going to recut it and then patch in something. You know, just make the cutouts closer in, put something over here, or put something through the top to control that, and just cut off the lever. But, well, these are those things that you get into when you start fabricating something, and check back later and we'll figure out what we are going to do about it. Alright, so I've got the cutouts just in rough metal right now. The setbacks are just kind of in there. They're not, need to be really cleaned up, and a lot more work needs to be done on this. It's really hard to form a complex curve in heavier steel like this. You know, you could do it with a strinker stretcher if you were working in sheet metal, but this heavy stuff you kind of just have to cut a million pieces and tack them together and just do a lot of grinding. The good thing is that I think now that I've mounted up or tacked in at least the winch mount here, you can just barely see, it looks like I am going to have room for this oversized handle on my winch to actually turn. It's going to be really close, but it's moved far enough up and away that I think it's going to be all right. We will see. Problem now is duplicating what I did on the one side and making it look the same on this side. So I think the next little section, that's what we'll do. We'll see how close we get this next one to be. Okay, so we got the tow hooks roughed in. They stick out a little farther than I wanted them to, but not basically as far as the shackle mounts would. Got a little license plate bracket. I didn't really... I wanted the plate to sit out a little further, just because I don't want any cops coming by and telling me that they can't read my plate. The tow hooks are just kind of roughed in there. I gotta finish up those welds and make them pretty. Cutouts are looking good too. I've been massaging those a little bit. We're almost ready for final work on this thing. The only thing I'm waiting for are my lights. They, not unlike the stock Super Duty, they are going to go right here, and it's going to be kind of this fashion thing. They're going to have little buckets, half recessed, half out of the bumper. Because really, I have no more real estate left. Can't put anything up in here. Up here is where the winch box has to live. The winch comes all the way out to here on this side. So there's really no place else to do anything. And again, I think it'll look nice. It's, you know, it's kind of that stock, but not stock look that we were going for. Having the two lights just on the other side of the license plate frame. Alright, so I'm in the process of fabricating the light buckets for the bumper lights. Again, we want to excuse me, kind of simulate what the Super Duties have. So these buckets go here, position the lights so they're pointing about level. They point down just a hair. We don't want to blind anybody. But this is the second one in progress. Because I chose to use this ridiculously thick metal for these buckets, we had to use a little toter torches to heat this up to bend it real nice and then cut it on the right angle. But so far things are coming together. Basically, at this point, it's finished the buckets. I need to make a bracket for the, excuse me, the winch controller, because it will not fit on top of the winch inside the bumper. There's actually just barely enough room for the winch itself. So it's going to live probably in this area here underneath. That'll give me access to turn it on and off through here, and then the cutout here, if we ever need to use the wired controller, should be able to access it through there. So that's the latest update. Hopefully when we're done with this, we'll do another scene here and see what we've got left. Getting towards the end, and it's been a lot of fabrication, but again, I just didn't want to have the same exact move bumper that every single person has. So we're getting a little creative. Alright, so at this point, metal work is done. We have our light pods in place. The tow hooks are actually welded in. The Raptor Tribute cutouts are complete. Cut out the sides of these wings because I wanted them to flow with the wheel well a little better. We got a bracket for the winch control. That's done. Did some reinforcements for the winch mount and a few other little gussets here and there. All that's left now is to do some body work on it, drill a few holes where our light pods go, or to mount our lights in the pods, and then it's priming and final coating. Still not sure what I'm going to do with the final coating. Leaning towards spray-on bed liner, but I don't know. There's a few other ideas afoot. I'm just not sure. I guess we'll have to find out. All right. Thank you. Okay, so here's my biggest gripe that I see when people put these bumpers on, is you've got the blocker beam that sticks way out and is clearly visible under the aftermarket bumper. The stock bumper, it's hidden. Now they put that in to keep you from going over the top of small cars when you hit them, when you T-bone. Excuse me. So it's kind of an important thing to have, but I don't necessarily want to see it. So my plan here is to cut this bracket off, make a cut here. I'm going to push the whole blocker bar back, and I'm just going to weld it in. No, I mean, in the future, I suppose somewhere down the line it could present a problem if you're doing something where you needed to have this thing be able to be unbolted, but I don't really care. If if I ever get to that situation, I'll just cut the welds and deal with it. But that's the plan. It's going to move this bar back so it won't be as visible. And again, I still may use it for my my mount for the small skid plate that I'm going to fabricate. Although that probably won't be on this video. That might be a project for later. Alright, so that's what we ended up doing. Cutting them flush, moving it back a little bit. Okay, so it's a test fit. Pretty happy with the way everything lines up. I probably should have given it a little more clearance between the grill, but overall it looks pretty good. This line that carries across, I mean, I could have filled in this corner to make it complete, but you know, the stock bumper doesn't actually do that either, so I'm not that concerned. The cutouts, I wasn't 100% sure you weren't going to see some nasty brackets through them or anything, but it looks pretty good. So I think I'm about ready to tap these holes for the light buckets, excuse me, and mount that winch in there, and then get 2 or 3 friends to come out and give me a hand lifting this thing on here, because I'll be honest with you, it's all I could do to do it myself without the winch on it. Gosh, a couple of people have asked me why I didn't make the license plate come all the way out to match the lights on a straight angle, but really, I just wanted it to move out a little bit more so that the police won't say that I'm trying to conceal my plate and everything else like they do around here. So, but basically, I mean, you know, a little creativity and a little extra time. I mean, I kind of challenging the rest of you to be a little more creative and don't just build it right out of the box the way it looks. So I guess the next step we'll show is when I get the winch installed, all the lights in, and everything finished. But again, when you look, you do kind of see the blocker beam. Not too much I could have done to change that, but at least it doesn't hang way out by the tire. It kind of looks like it belongs. Okay, so I forgot that I never really showed you guys the rear behind where the winch control is going to live. Obviously, there's just no room. When you put the winch in here, it comes up to about here. There's just no space to put it. So I just welded a little bracket onto the side here, and it's going to live up there. Fortunately, I'll be able to reach the power switch through the one hole. And I guess if I need to use the wired remote, I'm going to have to go in through the cutout, which kind of ruined the idea. I was going to put some grating behind here, set back about 1 inch or 2 to give it a little depth. And, well, that's not going to happen now because I don't know if I could snake my hand up inside there to plug it in. And even if I could, it probably wasn't going to be that comfortable anyway. So that's what we're doing right now, is just all the finish up work. I should have it mounted, and we'll finish this video up. Alright, so just doing a little wrap up here. This new bumper, put it on the scale, it's 165 pounds. Stock bumper was 65, so works out we added an extra 100 pounds on the nose of the truck. Don't really notice it. Need to do a little touch up because we did scuff it up kind of good when we were installing it, but again, it's 165 pounds to put up there, so I guess if I had to do it all over again, I'd give my give myself a little more clearance between the frame. I just bring it down just a quarter inch, half inch maybe tops, but otherwise came out exactly the way I envisioned. And what's funny is if you look at pictures from 4x4s from SEMA, a lot of them have this style cutout. They usually have a light behind it, but a lot of these cutouts. So I guess maybe I'm a trendsetter, or some may say a trend follower. Thanks a lot.